What's in a name? Everything. The power of a name has long been immortalized in prose, poetry, and history. It is your face to the world, your ambassador of quality that reflects your ideals and aspirations. Thompson's, a name, a family, a tradition of excellence. So it is with Thompson's Toyota, where our professional and courteous staff are eager to help you drive home your dream vehicle from the largest selection of new and used Toyota cars and trucks at the best prices. And if your vehicle needs service, our Toyota factory-trained and certified service technicians have the skill and expertise to do the job right and do it right the first time. Thompson's Toyota, where you'll always be treated like family.
Hey everybody, thanks for being here. Today we're doing some extreme West Coast fishing out of Qualicum River's Winter Harbor Resort on beautiful Vancouver Island, British Columbia. Now stay tuned. I'm Justin Wolff, and this is Angler West Television. For over a decade now, Steve Lynch of Procure has been making the one-day drive from Oregon to Qualicum River's resort, basically because every year the fishing is so good, and this year was no exception. With so much practice, Steve has the techniques and tackle dialed in.
We just rolled in here today at Qualicum River's Winter Harbor Resort. We're getting our fishing stuff ready for tomorrow. We're going to start out coho fishing. There's two ways we're going to be doing it. One is with the wiggle hoochie. And all this is this is a cool little hoochie. It's got a bill on it, so it dances around, puts out a ton of action. So this with a little bit of scent on it is just dynamite. Another way we're going to be fishing them is with spoons. And Shasta has the salmon spoon that's just the right size. Drop this down off the downrigger. We're going 18 to 25 feet. It's got a heck of a kick to it. Catch quite a few fish. We're using a different rod this year for the downriggers. We're using the Kenai Quick, the 1064. It's a 10-6 rod. It's got a light tip, but yet a nice powerful butt section. So if you get into the bigger kings that are running 35 to 40 pounds, it'll handle them just fine. Okay, the second rod we're going to be using today is also by Lava Glass. It's the Kenai Quick. It's a 903. And what we're doing, we'll have those first two rods on the downriggers trolling 18 to 40 feet. We're going to have this one just thrown out the back of the boat with a P-line jig, 3 ounce, 3.5 or 4 ounce, just 50 feet behind the boat. And this thing will just swim behind the boat, and you'll be surprised of how many coho will just pick this up. If all goes well with our salmon fishing in the morning and we get all done, we're going to go out and target halibut, lingcod, and yelloweye. One of the ways to do that is with the jigs, and this is a great way to put a bunch of fish in the boat really quick, just because the action of the jig will get those fish to come up and grab it. And there's 3 colors that I like to use, is the chartreuse, the glow-in-the-dark, or the white. And then you put a little bit of scent on that, whether it be the garlic, the bloody tuna, the anchovy, or the squid. But you can just stand back there and jig, and with each pass going through the rock piles, put quite a few fish in the boat.
On this trip, Steve is fishing with Steve Leonard of Steve's Guided Adventures. And like usual, they will get their fish. But you don't have to have years of experience to do well at Qualicum River's Winter Harbor. Today, Ian Bird and Wayne Swainson from Alberta, Canada are finding out just how good the fishing is.
We just got out here this morning. We've been down for about 15 minutes. It looks like we got a good peeler on the islander there. Hopefully it'll be a nice big spring. There we go, first Chinook of the day.
Welcome back to Winter Harbor on the northwest corner of Vancouver Island. I'm Justin Wolff.
Been fishing for about 20 minutes.
3 springs already. Pretty good fishing this morning.
Ian Bird, who's fishing with his friend Wayne Swainson, has got his hands full with Chinook
Nice little coho.
and coho salmon in a red-hot morning bite.
Nice. We're just getting into our first hour of fishing. We got about 5 fish on board. We got 2 nice coho, and here's another spring. Okay, that's good right there. Nice one. Not a bad little spring.
It's early July, which for these waters is considered early in the season, but it can also be a great time with lots of fresh Chinook and coho just showing up to feed in the rich waters.
Oh yeah, this is pretty good.
Yeah. Looks pretty good.
Ooh, a nice fish one.
Well, that's a lot better. Decent little spring. You ready? Go. Oh, you get that? And that one was only at 123 that time. Cool. So we're about 5 miles from Pelican Rivers Resort, and we're just starting to get into them. Another nice little Chinook. What a bugger.
A variety of trolled lures will work, but reel bait is not normally used because there are so many other species of fish that will take the bait before the salmon can get to it. It's usually better to use artificials. Today, Captain Andy is using hoochies and spoons, like the Shasta Tackle salmon spoon.
Yeah! Coming in the boat now! We're about to send down our new wiggle hoochies. We got a lime green one on this one and a dark green splatterback on the other one, and we'll see what they produce.
Oh yeah. Another double header.
Oh, I'm thinking worse now. A nice little coho. Oh, nice one. Well, we had the wiggle hoochie down for about 2 minutes, and right off the bat, got a nice little spring on it. The wiggle hoochie.
Another success today on Pelican River.
Whether you're chasing trophy trout or looking for limits of planter rainbows or kokanee, the Oregon Tackle Scent Chamber is a simple way to increase your odds and put more fish in the boat. And don't be afraid to dab a little long-lasting Procure Super Gel on your lure as well.
Shad. Combination, 2 passes, 2 fish.
Designed to be filled with Procure oils available at AnglerWestTV.com, the Oregon Tackle Scent Chamber distributes a trail of fish-attracting scent right to your lure.
Couldn't even get it in the water.
Want to learn how to catch more salmon? More trout? How about more steelhead? Then subscribe to Salmon Trout Steelheader magazine. Right now, get your free STS waders with a 5-year subscription.
got these two salmon on a double header.
Ian Bird and Wayne Swainson from Alberta have had an incredible day of July salmon fishing out of Qualicum River's Winter Harbor. But one great thing about this fishery is that salmon aren't the only fish available. Steve Lynch of Procure has been busy as well with a great bottom fish action.
Hey, this morning we're in Brooks Bay. We're going to run 4 rods. 2 of them are going to have the jigs. This is set up with a little bit of the garlic gel on it. And then 2 of the rods will have the bait. And the cool thing is the bait scent trail will bring them in. They'll see these jig tails flipping around and they just won't be able to resist them.
Got fish on this morning. First halibut so far. Just got our lines out. 20 minutes. Got the good butt juice on this bait we got here. Got the scent trail going.
I have virtually no head shake on this rod, so all I feel is weight. So my guess is I got a big octopus.
Well, Steve had the other cascade on, and our front rod was getting a bite. Our other back corner rod got a bite too, so we got him hooked up here. Feels like a pretty good average halibut we have on, and we'll take it.
You can take them and actually make scallops out of them, but it's a lot of work. We're just going to release it. Got an awesome mouth on it though. Nice limb. Exactly what we're looking for.
A nice big one in the boat. So we're gonna go back over the top of this rock cropping here.
Right now we're jigging for the liner. We're 280 of water, but I've got to keep it so the lines are straight up and down for the boys to jig, Because you gotta have one guy on the wheel and on the gear here, and the boys jigging.
I love this jigging. Just non-stop action. It's a great way to put a lot of fish in the boat really quick. And we've been here less than a half hour and probably had 6 fish. This is just stupid crazy. For the most part, they're all quality fish. And you just don't know what you're going to get. You could pull up a halibut, a lingcod, or a yelloweye. Ideally, we're looking for the lings, but we'll take whatever we get at this point. Right here.
Keep the head in the water.
Okay. We've been fishing up here in Canada for over 10 years. And I tell you, if anything, I think the bottom fish has gotten better. Come out here and jig, it's just as good as it was 10 years ago. I mean, easy limits to get. The fish are all quality size. So whatever management's going on is actually probably doing a good thing because fishing's just fast and furious.
As you can tell, Frankie's doing a really good job with the boat control here, keeping our lines vertically underneath the boat. It's real crucial when you're fishing these rock piles, otherwise they'll be snagged up. And he put us on top of them on the back side as we went over and Steve hooked up. So we went back up and making another drift over the top of the rock pile to hook up on another big one.
Nice thing about this jig fishing, it's pretty constant action. You'll sleep good at night too, and you're worn out at the end of the day.
A good day's work can be very productive, but now Qualicum River's Winter Harbor is making that day even more comfortable with the addition of some new, larger, custom-designed boats for the hardcore fishing found off of Vancouver Island.
Hey Rob, I noticed in the past we've always fished out of the 19-foot boats, and last year you brought 2 of these bigger boats. Are you going to be replacing them all with the bigger boats? And what's the primary difference between your bigger boats and the 19s?
Well, the main thing is comfort. You know, you've got a 26-foot by 10.5-foot fishing platform, fully enclosed. You've got a bathroom. You've got diesel heat, seating for 6. The same fish is caught on both boats, but definitely comfort level here. We won't get rid of all our 19s. There's guys out there who just want the little boats. 2 to a boat, 1 to a boat. There's a price difference for having this boat compared to one of our 19s. There's definitely a bigger platform, get twin engines, a little high-end, more gear in there, a little more comfortable out there. You'll be out in 20-knot winds there, and you won't feel a thing. smaller boats, your rain gear days.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I've yet to fish in one of these. I've always been in the 19s, but they look nice. You
they
know,
run
so
nice, yes.
is it something that you're going to be doing 2 a year, or what, how many of these are you going to be adding?
I'd like to get 2 more next year. That's the official plan right now with my mom and myself. And you know, they aren't cheap to build.
Yeah.
These are custom boats. We design them ourselves. We get a naval architect to go through the designs. They're ISO certified, and then it takes about 2.5 months to build each single boat, and about another 3 weeks to outfit them. So
Wow.
it is a bit of time. And, you know, the year's only so short. So
And these, do you have a porta potty on? Have
we
a
do.
restroom?
Yeah, porta potty, diesel heat. Next year the stereo systems are in. The barbecues are on the back deck. Yeah, they're going to be a little. Pretty nice little boats, actually.
I know. So when you leave at 5:30 in the morning and come in at 7 in the evening, you're not
Yep.
beat up on. You
No.
come in and take a nap.
Guys take naps on the seats. On the back deck when the sun's out, they just hang on like we do. Sit on, well, on the inside, obviously.
Yep.
They sit up here. This up here is completely open, so you can have 4 guys fishing. You have 2 in the back, 2 in the front. Lines never tangle. It's an awesome fishing platform.
If you're interested in a trip to Winter Harbor, then don't hesitate to call or visit online today. Now up next, we're going to Woodland, Washington to take an in-depth look at how those specialized Lamiglass rods that Steve likes to use are made in the Lamiglass factory. Fishing rods are made overseas. Lamiglass, an industry leader for over 60 years, continues to build rods right here in Woodland, Washington.
Hey, I'm John Posey with Lamiglass, and just wanted to show you what we do here in Woodland, Washington to make a fishing rod. It all starts right here with the material. We have some graphite, and it comes here on these rolls. We have to cut it into different patterns depending on the rod. We manufacture about 350 different fishing rods for 2011, 2012. Likewise, we manufacture fishing rod blanks for custom rod builders. But the process all starts here with the cutting of the pattern. She's going to measure out the material. Each fishing rod is unique. It all has a different pattern depending on the action we want for the rod. So it's all cut out by hand. As you can see, it's cut in a pattern with a correct amount of taper that goes all the way to the tip. So you want some good power in the butt section, and then a nice, flexible, and sensitive tip. So now what we have is a mandrel. It's just a tapered piece of steel, and this is going to form the shape of the fishing rod. So what we do next is we do what's called tacking, and she's going to take the part, and she's going to basically use a hot iron or a flat iron, and because the material has a certain amount of resin in it, all she needs to do is get some heat that's going to tack it or adhere it to the mandrel. So once the material is tacked onto the mandrel, we need to put it on one of these tables and pressure roll it so the material rolls onto the mandrel evenly. There you go. Now the material's wrapped on, the model number here, so we know exactly what we've got, and then we take it to the next step. Now this is an important step. This is where we bind the material onto the mandrel with cellophane. Basically, it's Scotch tape without the adhesive. And what this does is it's going to hold the shape of the rod because we're going to now put it in the oven. Okay, well, the rods are coming out of the oven. They've been in there for a couple of hours at a certain temperature, depending on the material. This is 22 feet high. It's the largest rod building oven in the world. We're capable of building one-piece parts up to 20 feet long. So after the blanks come out of the oven and the cellophane is stripped off, we sand the blanks to take off the small ridges. So what we want is a smooth blank. And sometimes on a very small diameter blank, we're going to need to do some hand sanding. So a delicate process, very important in the construction of the rod. So once the blank has been sanded, we need to put some paint on it. And as you can see, we have a very experienced paint machine here. It's called a squeegee coat or squeegee dip coat. And basically just we put the paint in here. We've got a little opening here and a rubber diaphragm. He's going to run the blank through. It's going to coat the blank and then wipe off all the excess. So perfect color on a rod blank every time. Right here is what we call the rod side, and this is where we do all the finished fishing rods in various stages. So we'll run you through that right now. So now what we're doing is we're putting the handle and the tip top onto the rod. And what he's doing is splining the rod. In other words, finding the hard spot on the blank so that the rod does not twist in the angler's hand. Very important part. And then what we have is custom fit handles. Each one of these has to be made to fit the exact rod that we're building. Rear cork, reel seat, forecork, winding check, and then we'll put the tip top on. That's the very top guide. And you can see over here the process of putting the cork and reel seats on. Sometimes you need a little bit of masking tape to make sure that reel seat sits firmly on the rod and is not going to come loose. So she's going to mark that, and then she's going to put some glue on and make sure that that reel seat is firmly attached to the rod. So now once the handle is dry and the decals have been put onto the rod, what we're doing now is marking where the guides go. And each one of the rods has its own spec sheet that tells us what guide sizes to use and what spacing to use for the guides. And it's different on every single rod. What we're doing here now is putting the guides on. We use different types of thread depending on the rod. This happens to be a bass rod. We're using small diameter thread, smaller guides for a real lightweight rod. And so she's putting the guide on with the basic nylon thread. So this is the final step, and this is what we call our final coat. We're going to put an epoxy coating on the logo area to protect that area, and also to firmly secure the guides onto the fishing rod. Very important step. Also makes the rod look very nice, and it's all about quality here at Lamaglass. And as you can see, there's not really any machines that do the work, but rather they assist in the building of the rods. So each one of the rods has been touched by every employee in the building before it goes from start to finish. And just to show you some of the versatility we have here at Lamaglass, we make drift boat oars. We also make surf rods, very popular name on the Northeast for striped bass and bluefish. Also salmon and steelhead rods are on another reel, bass rods on another reel. Like I said earlier, about 350 different rods for 2011, 2012.
Thanks for watching today's episode of Angler West TV. You know, it's only with the sponsor support that this show is made possible, so please thank them when you can. Now get out there and do some great fishing.